What's up, guys?
Good morning.
Today we're talking about worship. Okay, and this is a daily devotion. I'm the firm foundation on which you can dance and sing praises and continually celebrate my presence, just as you long to. More of the time, however, you feel earthbound and weighed down. Worshipping me requires the engagement of your entire being, something you delight in and yet somehow resist. Well, let's just stop on that part. Worshiping me requires the engagement of your entire being, something you delight in and yet somehow resist. It requires all of you. I would say it's a form of sacrifice. It means laying down your desires. You're not always going to want to go into church, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be days you don't want to go to church. There's going to be days you don't want to read your Bible. But just as Jesus sacrificed his life for each and every one of us, we have to lay something down too and say, okay, I'll put my desires to the side and I will worship you and give you, 5 or 10 minutes of my day, which really isn't that much in comparison to how much we're on our phones, we're on our games. I mean, my screen time sometimes is like, in school, when I was at school, it was like 11 hours. You know how bad that is? 11 hours.
Yep.
Imagine if I replaced those 11 hours with the word of God. You know what I mean? Like,
no, for real.
It's like we need to treat it how we treat other things. We treat our phones sometimes as idols. We have these phones that we just constantly go on and look at TikTok, social media, and brain or doom scroll for hours. But like, what we really need to do is spend time in the presence of God, and that could just be 5 or 10 minutes and sometimes more, but make sure you do it, and it's going to take some sacrifice, but it's worth it.
Very true.
I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but I can continue.
When it comes to finding more ways to spend time with God, I feel like a lot of the time most people limit it to read my Bible, listen to worship music, but how about go on a walk or do some art or paint or make a video like we're doing right now, based on him, and stuff like that. And there's so many more things you can do. But I think most people limit it to read my Bible or worship, listen to worship music, and they're like, I don't want to do either of those things, so let me go doom scroll for 4 hours.
Yeah, it's horrible getting into that habit. It's horrible.
And then another thing that I thought about during that verse, it reminds me of, I think Paul said this. He was like, the things I want to do, I don't do.
Yep.
And the things I don't want to do, I do.
Yep.
Yeah. Talking about the flesh versus the spirit.
Yep.
What the spirit wants, he just doesn't do. And then what the flesh wants, he normally falls into. Because, on this earth, our flesh oftentimes feels stronger than our spirit.
Exactly. Yeah. You know why a lot of the times we end up doing what we shouldn't be doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's because it says you feel earthbound and weighed down.
Yeah.
And that's called sin.
Mm-hmm.
Sin bounds you to this earth to some degree, so you feel the desire of the flesh, and that can easily overcome what the spirit really needs. If you want to learn how to celebrate me more consistently and more abundantly, begin by lingering in my peaceful presence. As you relax in my everlasting arms, sense how safe and secure you are. I am indeed the rock solid foundation on which you can live exuberantly. Dancing, singing, and praying are ways you can express your delight in me. So what that's saying is finding a place to pray, like a prayer closet, a natural environment, somewhere where you can get away from the real world and speak to God in solitude and in oneness with him, rather than going and spending more time in your bed, because maybe you've been in your bed for hours, or maybe you've been gaming for hours, or maybe you've been in your house for hours or hanging out with everyone else. God deserves time, so make sure you're spending and lingering in his presence, and that's how you build your relationship with him.
Right.
And then the next verse it said, or these aren't verses, but like the next part, it says, my very presence radiates joy in vast, unmeasured fullness. When you praise me, your joy increases, as does your awareness of my holy presence. Your body may or may not be mightily engaged in this endeavor, but I see into your heart. This is where the ultimate celebration of my presence takes place. it's been talking, every verse I feel like I read, every daily devotional keeps bringing up joy, keeps bringing that word up. It's just saying that part of what makes life is the joy in it. And a lot of us lose our source of joy. When we don't have our source of joy, we lose our meaning of life. And it's saying God is our source of joy. If you're looking for the ability to be content with the little things in life or with little things that you have, in just living a simplistic lifestyle and one that is surely dedicated to God, it's saying spend time in his presence. That's how you feel the joy. The Christian joy that you see online isn't what's the word I'm looking for? It's not only reserved for that one person that you're seeing. You may be saying, why is this person so joyful, but I can't be joyful? Well, as a matter of fact, we overcomplicate the idea of joy. If we didn't overcomplicate it so much, we'd be able to just do exactly as the word says and experience the joy that is spoken about in the word. But it's really, really simple. It's just spending time with God. A lot of us have such a lack of time with God because he's just become secondary to our life when he wants to be primary. He wants to be the first thing. Instead of you ranting to everybody about your problems or your best friend, the first person or the first entity you should go to is God. That's where you should run first. And just spending time in his presence is where you get a joy-filled heart. So that's what
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
And I just took a second there to look up the definition of joy. Because I know people, I guess, kind of use joy and happiness like, what's the word? Like they're the same word.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see what the difference was. Right here it says joy is a feeling of great pleasure. Is joy like long term? Because yeah, like you said, they were making it sound like happiness is like a short lived in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be happy in the morning and then by I don't know 11 a.m. you're not happy anymore.
The amount of times people get sad and they go to music to make them feel better, but then they turn off the music.
Yeah, no longer
what
happy.
The heck? I'm not happy anymore.
Yeah.
Or they take drugs as a form of numbing themselves and they feel happier. Drug wears off, world crashes down, you're still sad. But joy doesn't. Joy is different than that.
Yeah.
Joy is very different than that. So we have the verses. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 27 says, "The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath it are the everlasting arms," meaning that he is the place that you go to when you have your greatest battles. When you have, a war waging against you, so to say, which is sin. When you feel the flesh attacking you, God is your refuge, meaning he's the place that you go when you need cover. It says somewhere in the Bible that he covers us in our blood, in his blood. Psalm chapter 16, verse 11 says, "You have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasure at your right hand." At your right hand. Realize it's not
eternal.
It's not at the end of the table. It's not
a mile
away. We need to be at his right hand. That's where we need to be, to really feel his presence, to really feel his joy. You can be sitting across the table and be like, "God, I don't feel you at all." And this table could be a mile long. "God, I don't feel you." Well, I wonder why. You're not right next to him. You're not literally. He's at the head of the table. You're not at the right hand of the table. We need to be that close to him. It's important. And it says, "You have revealed to me the path of life." The more you figure out about God, the more you figure out about yourself. That's how, when you spend more time with him, he reveals more about
I got it.
He reveal God the light turned off. God reveals more about life to you the closer you are to him, is what I'm trying to tell you.
He knows the number of hairs that are on your head.
That he does.
Yeah. So it's like when I say he knows everything about you, literally everything.
He says he knows our thoughts, right? Even before we even speak them, he still wants them to tell him.
Before we were even born, he knew every single moment that was going to take place in our life. Before we were born, before we were a cell in our mom's stomach, like he already knew everything.
And then 2 Samuel chapter 6 verse 14, David wearing a linen ephod, danced before the Lord with all his might. Dancing for the Lord. It was mentioning earlier, singing, dancing, and praying are ways you can express your delight in me. I feel like I see a lot of someone who's really devout to Christianity starts to express themselves. At church, you see the people raising their hands. You see people singing for the Lord, just as David did. It is biblical to do that, and it definitely can enhance the experience. Just a lot of people try to sometimes fake it, but like I believe it can come really naturally when you're feeling the presence of the Lord. 1 Samuel chapter 16 verse 7 says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look at his appearance or at his physical stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord does not see as a man sees. For man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Oh my gosh! Dang! Do not look at his appearance or his physical stature, because I have refused him. It is not about what is on the outside. It is way deeper than that, because man will judge you. People get bullied, people get torn apart because of how they look, but they're not God. God looks at you with a certain stature. Is that a word?
Yeah.
With a certain stature. He looks at you in a specific way, completely different from man, and he judges you by your heart, not by your outward appearance. The Lord does not see as the man sees, guys. He really doesn't.
And man, that's so hard to live by.
Yeah.
Because, we're always around people. And like Jordan just read, people look at the outward appearance.
They do.
Of course, no one wants to be that guy, that weird kid, person no one likes. So then we're working on our outside appearance, so that people like us. But at the end of the day, if the Lord doesn't like what we're doing, should we really be doing it?
He doesn't focus on the outward appearance. I remember when I was like wanting to be a model or whatever on Instagram, I would wear so much. I'd wear the parachute pants. I'd wear whatever, like $200, $300 hoodie. And I thought that added to my value, and I cared about my public perception, about what my friends thought of me when they saw me. And I focused on that so deeply. But then God is just like, I don't even care about that. That's not buying you any way to heaven. It's your heart. I'm going to look at your heart. That's what I want to know. And so that really revealed to me, hey, you have this clothing fashion idol in your life that you need to remove. It is taken the throne of me. And so that's what happened when I feel like I gave my life to Christ again, and he like looked at my heart. So yeah. He cares about the heart, not the outward appearance.
Exactly.
So now that's also not saying like go dressed immodestly. Yeah. Because he doesn't care, and be like,
still take care of yourself.
Yeah, still take care of yourself.
Good hygiene.
Yeah. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that concludes this daily devotional, guys.
Day 1.
Or one day.
No, wait. We got it backwards.
One day?
Or day 1.
Love you guys. See ya.
See ya.